Our next topic is on the church, okay? Parish and diocese, or local and universal church, all right? And for this, it's a lot of sort of straightforward stuff here, but essentially what it wants to know is what does a local church do? Okay, and that includes the church building, obviously, all right, but what is it in the local area, all right? But then looking at the role of a diocese, all right, so a greater area made up of other parishes, all right? So looking at the first one, you could get asked to describe or explain the role of a local church. Now, if this one comes up, right, guys, this is a really positive, you have a smile on your face, all right, because it's very straightforward, and you go to a Catholic school, so therefore you experience a lot of this, all right? Now, the first one, we'll start off with the most challenging possibly, all right, is the local church, all right, fulfills a pastoral or community role, all right? So this is because the church has a responsibility to carry out one of Jesus' key teachings, to love thy neighbour, all right, which they do through their work in the community. So therefore, the type of things that they might do is what's called the work of the SVP, okay, St. Vincent de Paul Society. You can talk about volunteering, all right, the fact this is all carried out by every parish. The next one is that they celebrate Mass, all right, like I said, see, this is pretty straightforward. They celebrate Mass. So this is because, all right, it's the main form of Christian worship, all right, and it's held in the local church. You could say about how that fulfills the teaching of love thy God as well, if you want to link it to there. So therefore, the impact of this is, not the impact, but therefore, Mass is celebrated on a daily basis, all right, in the parish, all right, with Sunday being the main day of celebration. The next one is that they celebrate the sacraments, all right? So obviously it's not just all about Mass, it's about how we develop our relationship with God through the sacraments, all right? So this is because the sacraments are an outward sign of inner grace, okay, to use the official sort of terminology, that allow us to develop a stronger relationship with God and a better understanding of Him. So therefore, in the local, what's called in the local church with a small c, you will see they'll celebrate the sacraments of baptism, of reconciliation, of Holy Communion, etc., etc. All right. The next one is, it's quite similar to the pastoral and community role I just discussed, but it's about visiting the sick, okay? And the reason why the local church have a responsibility to look after the sick is that all people are part of a parish and they have a duty to go and to help those who are most in need. And if you want to, you could link that the idea to the teachings of the parable of the Good Samaritan, and you could link it to the parable of the sheep and the goats that sort of directly says about helping those who are most in need. So the type of things that they do is that the local church will visit those in hospital, all right, or it could be taking communion to them if they're a Eucharistic minister or the priest, all right, so they're still able to receive Holy Communion. The final one, all right, is directly what you do, okay, and that's to do with education. So we're provided with education, and this is because the local Catholic Church has a responsibility to ensure that they are providing a Catholic education, so they allow the Catholic Church to continue to grow, all right, so the young people can be part of it with a full understanding. So therefore, each parish will have Catholic schools, secondary schools, and primary schools, all right, that are linked to the church. It was called the local parish church, and they're also part funded by it. Now, as I said, you could also be asked about the role of the diocese, okay? So the diocese is, think about it almost if you want a jigsaw puzzle, okay? So each piece of the puzzle is a parish, and in there you'll typically, all right, this thing's slightly different now, but typically you will have one parish church, okay? And that will serve the local community, okay? Now, imagine then you were making a 15 piece puzzle, all right, and you placed all that together, all right. When that was a completed puzzle, all right, that would be the diocese. So it would be a larger area that is made up of a variety of different parishes, okay, and the person in charge of that would be the bishop, all right. Now you could be asked about describe or explain the role of a diocese. So if you are, all right, you've got to keep you've got to keep in mind the role of the bishop here, okay, because that's one of the distinctive differences between the local church and then the role of the diocese. And by local church, I mean the parish, all right? So the first thing, okay, that the bishop and the whole of the diocese has a responsibility of celebrating Mass or preaching the gospel. Okay, so that's your first point. It's very similar to above. And the reason for this, all right, is that the bishops, they represent if you want, Jesus' disciples in today's society, okay? And it is exactly what Jesus instructed them to do. And you know that, all right, the fact that they should celebrate Mass and preach the gospel, because it's linked to the idea of the Last Supper, all right, and then also Jesus' ascension, okay, about his instruction to them, which obviously you've studied. All right, so therefore, the bishop, all right, will ensure that he celebrates Mass at the cathedral, but also that in the way in which he preaches the gospel is that the bishop does it through sending letters to the local parishes, okay? He's probably a little bit more up to date now. He probably sends emails, okay? Now, the next one, all right, is that the role of the diocese and the role of the bishop, that one of the things that's specific is performing certain sacraments, okay? So there's some sacraments that the bishop is responsible for, and almost primarily they are ordination, okay, so making somebody a priest, and also the confirmation, okay? So the reason for this, all right, so when you explain this answer, is because if it wasn't for the bishop doing these things, that maybe the parishes would feel very separate, okay? And it's a way in which the bishop unites the diocese by going to the each sort of parish to celebrate the sacrament of confirmation, okay? So that's the main reason why it unites the area, okay? Another one is that the role of the diocese is that bit of a boring one, yeah, all right, it's admin, okay, so an administration and organization sort of role, particularly of funds, all right, and priests. So this is because the diocese must ensure that each parish has enough money, all right, for the upkeep of the church, but also that there are enough priests to go around so that Mass can be celebrated in each of the parishes, okay? So therefore, that's what they do, okay? They make sure that there's a priest that is there, and also that there's enough money to pay the bills, etc. Another role, okay, of the bishop or the diocese is to ensure that all the Catholics in that area are united. And this is because the local diocese is linked together by geography, of course, all right, but also by the fact that they are Catholics, all right, because obviously not the whole area is made up of Catholics, all right, so there's something unique about what they do, so the bishop has a responsibility to bring the diocese together, all right. So the way in which the bishop will do this, all right, is that it could be through just simply visiting other parishes. It could be arranging events with different churches and schools across the diocese to develop sort of unity, all right. So it could be, as it was called in our school, working with other Catholic comprehensive schools around Cardiff or around Wales. Another one, all right, and this is really important that you include this one, all right, because this is something that is distinctly different, all right, between sort of the role of the parish and the role of the diocese, okay, and it's about the active role that they have in the universal church. So a bishop, all right, is obviously the leader of the diocese, but also must represent them with the church across the world, okay? So if you want, he's almost like the link. He's the link between the parish and with Rome, okay, with the Pope, all right? He's there to represent us in his diocese, okay? So what a bishop will do, all right, is that, or the responsibility of the diocese, you've got to phrase it that way, is that they meet, okay, they meet together, all the bishops will meet together and they will discuss policy in a way, all right, they'll discuss how sort of to lead the church forward, all right, not just in their diocese, but the universal church, okay, you could speak about that just being the church in the UK, but actually across the whole world as well, all right, so that's one of the big sort of distinctive differences. It's important that you include that one, all right? I feel like that'll be one that they'll really be looking out for. When it comes to an evaluation question on this, all right, that I find it difficult to be able to think of exactly the type of question they're going to ask you. And I think that what it'll do will be almost a bit of a compare and contrast. Which one is more important, the local church, all right, or the diocese, or whether there's a need for churches to be united across a diocese. Now, if that is, you simply take some of the answers from the role of the local parish, and you take the other ones from the role of the diocese, okay, and you sort of put them against one another. If you are going to do that, all right, I think it's important, once again, to ensure that you include that sort of how the bishops of the diocese, that they contribute to the church across England and Wales, but also across the world, okay, the universal church, because that is something that would be problematic if you didn't have somebody who was a leader of a diocese and just had leaders of the parish. So make sure that you prioritise that with your revision.